Welcome to FargoFX. This is Subscriber Builds 14. In the past, I have really put a lot of focus on giving everybody as much individual attention as I can. We've never had more than 3 or 4, maybe 5 submissions. But I have to confess, I have been falling behind. And I really don't like this feeling of, you submit something and you might not see it for 2 months, that type of thing. So we're going to do one big show today. I didn't count, but I'm guessing 8 or 9 subscribers. When this episode is done, we will be 100% caught up. That means if any of you have sent anything, if you haven't seen it in a recent subscriber builds, or if you don't see it in this one, it probably means that somehow I missed it. You all know how email works. Sometimes stuff gets sent to the wrong folder and whatnot. So if there's something you sent and you have yet to see it, please send it to me so that I can feature it in the next subscriber builds. And with that, we will get right into it. First up, we have Kayllon from Brazil. Not sure I'm doing a real great job on that name, but I'm trying. He's 14 years old, and these are some absolutely fantastic designs. I was blown away when I opened this email and I saw the pictures that he had sent. So I'm just going to roll through these images and let you enjoy. This is absolutely fantastic work, and you should be very proud of the work you've done here. Again, excellent craftsmanship. Keep up the great work, and we'll look forward to seeing more from you in the future. Next, we go to Edwin. He's 15 years old, and he's from Iowa. He says he's been watching a lot of the shows on blacksmithing, and he wanted to share his first creations with us. So he sent 7 pictures, and again, I will mostly let these speak for themselves. Just a couple of comments here. Number 1, I love the ingenuity. Anybody that's been watching my channel for any length of time, you know that I like to improvise, build my own things. It is unbelievable how much you can do if you have a little creativity, a little ingenuity, and that's absolutely what we see here. These are great first knife designs. Obviously, he used rebar there. I consider rebar to be pretty much God's gift to the beginning blacksmith. It's very much inexpensive. Some types of rebar, you can test them. Some of them will take a water hardening, some will take an oil quench. Some probably don't harden at all, but at least you get the practice you need. Heating the steel, shaping it, pounding out those edges, putting in bevels. I just can't stress enough how good rebar can be as a material for learning on. Again, I really like the innovative use of different materials, both as workpieces for forging and also in the construction of the forge and sort of an improvised anvil there. I absolutely love this work. Edwin, you are doing a fantastic job. Keep up the great work. Next, we go to Jozo. He's 19 years old and he's from Croatia. Now, I'm not sure if that J is pronounced as an English H, Y, or J. I know that they can be different depending on the language, but I'm just going with Jozo, and he can correct me if I'm wrong. Again, he's 19 years old, he's from Croatia, and he just recently started making knives about 3 months ago. But before that, he was already doing a lot of different projects, working with his hands, especially woodworking, because he had gotten into that when he was a child. And a couple of things he mentioned, he's making knives from circular saw blades, and he's heat treating those in his charcoal forge. And I really like to point out, you look at those circular saw blades, and then to see the finished product, to see the finished knives that he's made, is striking how you can take something that many people would discard as just junk, but here he's come along, reshaped it, crafted it, cleaned it up, and created really beautiful, not only beautiful knives, but I would say in many ways works of art. So fantastic job. Thank you for sharing these with us, and keep up the great work. Next, we go to Justin. He has submitted work before. He also goes by Guarded Dig 2 here on YouTube. And he's from the same kind of area where I used to live. So it's fun to have somebody from my hometown who's also a fan of the channel and a young blacksmith who's doing great work. So thank you very much, Justin. Really appreciate you staying in contact and continuing to share your work with us. Oh, and stay warm, because I know where you are, winter is definitely coming. Next, we go to Backyard Blade Master. I still have to double check to see if he has that channel up and running yet. As I understand, I believe he had some weather damage, so there were some delays with that. But thankfully, he has made at least one knife and has sent us a picture of it here. This one was made from an old bandsaw and has an oak handle with brass pins. So great work on this, and definitely let us know when you get that channel up and running. In fact, what I'll do is I'll take a look around YouTube and see if I can find you. And if I do, I'll actually link to your channel in the description below, so people can check that out if you're up and running. So these next images come to us from, I believe, from Erin, at least that was the name on the email. This comes from a 13-year-old smith from Barbados. Very creative and unique work here. At first, when I saw a couple of these, I thought I was looking at rebar, and then I looked a little closer and I realized this is on a totally different scale. It appears that Erin is doing a lot of work with like nails and screws. And I think I mentioned once or twice before when I've seen these really impress me. The amount of work it takes to shape something on that scale. First, you have to heat up the workpiece so that it's sufficiently workable and it's not just going to break when you hit it with a hammer. And then you have a lot of, intricate and delicate shaping. So this actually takes a lot of skill. It's also a good way to get a lot of practice in without spending a whole lot of money, because again, the materials that go into this and even the hammers in the forge, everything kind of scales down a little bit. So it's nice as a way to develop those fine detail skills, and it's also a way to maybe get by without spending a whole lot of money, but still getting a lot of practice. So I really love this work, and I'm really thankful that you shared this. I just think everything about this is really cool, and I do hope you keep up the great work, and feel free to submit more work to us in the future. Next, we go to Stephen from South Africa. He is 17 years old. He said he's really been enjoying this channel and he's found a lot of motivation here. So Stephen, that is an awesome compliment. And I hope the rest of you that have submitted work understand that that's a compliment to you as well. When you go back and count all of the work that's been done by all the different subscribers, there's probably just as many builds on this channel from other subscribers as those that I've done myself. So I want all of you all to give yourselves a pat on the back. Now the knife we're seeing here, this was made from a large old saw blade. And the wood is a mystery wood that he got from a friend. It is a hardwood, but he doesn't know what variety it is. But I'll say whatever the variety is, it's beautiful. I really like that contrast between light and dark. It makes for a very interesting pattern. Stephen says this is his fourth knife, and he uses the stock removal method, using mostly files and also a bench grinder. And for the bevels, he's used both files and he has a 1x30 belt sander. This was his first commissioned work. It was done for a good friend of his as a knife that he could give to his father. So my compliments to Stephen. You're obviously doing fantastic work here, and I love the fact that just 4 knives into it, you already have a commission. So that is awesome. Keep up the great work, and I'd be willing to bet you'll have a lot more commissions in the future. Next up is Bastien. He is 24 years old, and he's from France. He said he has wanted to start forging since he was about 15 years old, but he lived in an apartment in the city. So he had to wait until just recently when he was able to move to a place where he has a garden. Over the years, he had done some research into blacksmithing and watched a lot of videos, read some books, and now he has finally started forging. His forge is basically fire bricks with a steel pipe at the base, and he uses a foot pump rather than something like a blow dryer or some other type of noisier piece of equipment. And so far, he says it's working great. And I would say, judging by the quality of the work he's doing, it is definitely working great. Here he has made an excellent design. He's working with a piece of low carbon steel, which I think is great for practice. And from my own experience, I really prefer to work with lower carbon, especially when I'm practicing and developing skills. He did take time to clean up the blade with a grinder and to polish it with some sandpaper. And then he sharpened it almost to razor sharp. I think this piece speaks for itself. This is beautiful craftsmanship. I really like this little, I don't know if it's a choil or sharpening notch type of thing here, sort of at the bottom of the blade. And then the way that handle comes up and curls around, I really like the look of that. I think that's a beautiful design feature. And it clearly shows a lot of skill, especially for somebody who has not had experience doing this in the past. So great work here. And by all means, as you keep up with this and you keep developing new skills and making new pieces, by all means share those with us. Thank you. Next we go to, I believe it's Zach, at least Zach was in the name on the email that was sent. This is just one of the knives that he's been working on. He started when he was 13 and he's now 15, so he's still a pretty young guy. And he just keeps developing his craft. He watches channels. He mentioned he watched this channel and other channels like it. And he thought he'd share one piece that he's been working on with us. This particular knife, as you can see, is fashioned from an old file. And he said the handle is actually made from firewood, so that's interesting. Really complements the overall design, this sort of, upcycled metal file. I think this is really great work. And again, feel free to send us more images if you have any other work you'd like to share. And finally, we go to, I believe his name is Sambo. This is a really, really cool design, very unique, obviously a very unique construction method. Definitely has that kind of grungy apocalypse look to it. And from the description, it sounds like a team effort, as he used a bench grinder to shape the blade from a file. And then he said his son-in-law, who's a welder, added the handle. And during that process, he had to use water to keep the blade cool to be sure the blade didn't lose its heat treat. I really like the idea of blending different techniques to create a finished product that's unique and that works. And of course, this is an excellent example of that. I also love the fact that there was teamwork that went into this. It's so cool when you can get together with a friend or a relative or just about anybody with complementary skills to create something this cool. So great work. And with that, I will also say huge thanks to all of you who have submitted work, watched the videos, liked the videos. Obviously, this channel wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for all of you. So massive, massive thanks to each and every one of you. And if anybody's interested in contributing their work to subscriber builds, I will put that email link up here. And again, just one last time, I'll say it. This should be everybody that has submitted work up to the time of this recording, which is October 17th. Your work should be featured. So if I've missed anybody, if you sent me something and you haven't seen it, by all means, submit it again. I will get it up as quick as I can because I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to see their work on display and also that we get the chance to be inspired by the work that you're doing. Thanks again. Whoever you are, whatever you're doing, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.